Okay, I'm back with a review for you guys today, and this review I'm not gonna say it's personal, but it's kind of related to my background a little bit, but not in the way that hopefully you don't think, not in the bad way. First, I should introduce the book. The book is Pilgrim's Wilderness, the true story of faith and madness on the Alaskan frontier by Tom Kizza. This book was first published by Crown in July of 2013. It has 336 pages and it has only 482 ratings on Goodreads. This is based in Alaska, and I'm from Alaska. I lived there for around 20 years, and I think the majority of this reporting took place in 2002, or at least the family first moved up there in around 2002, and it really features very well the type of disputes and the type of politics that happens in Alaska, as well as the type of person that is attracted to Alaska. And I'm not saying it's just crazy people, although at one point in time there was a policy or an idea of a policy to send any kind of weird acting person, just send them, give them one ticket up to Alaska, but these people aren't like that. It really covers very well, like, at least the idea of Alaska that is for a lot of people. I know people might want to mention Into the Wild. I have never read Into the Wild, to be honest. But when I first heard the story, when I was living in Alaska, I first thought, dumbass, because, I mean, how he died, how he decided to go up to Alaska, and just by living there, I'm like, why would you do that? Just why would you do that? And also, quite a few people have died just trying to find the bus that the guy died in. So, irony, I guess. This book covers a family that ironically came from the state that I currently live in, New Mexico, and they moved up to Alaska, and mostly goes into the background of the father. It starts trying to piece together through past conversations of people that knew him, or kind of retroactively piecing together events and conversations that happened that involved the patriarch of this family. And I think the patriarch is named Bob Hale, but he decided to call himself Pilgrim, and they called themselves the Pilgrim family. And this a big chunk of this book covers like disputes between people who are living on or next to park land and national park land, and like the tension between people who are just trying to live their lives and between like environmentalists, conservationists, and park services. You know, it's like, okay, you can't drive this type of vehicle on this land because it's parkland, and you have to have a permit to do certain things. And people, it even covers a history of disputes that locals having with park services. And so when this family moves up there, they kind of became the poster family of how park services intrudes on people's rights and lives, and how they're just making this poor, innocent, sweet, simple family just making their lives hell. And this family kind of at the point became like, land rights or owners' rights poster child against the U.S. government. It goes through with the dispute and how the dispute grew, and how this family was viewed, and how people started getting a little bit disillusioned with this family. It would let in on what's really going on. Bob Hale, who calls himself Pilgrim, he wanted to go up to Alaska to live in a biblical Christian way with his family. And his argument was that a lot of the things that it says to do in the Bible are illegal, and he wanted to do those things. He felt that it was right to do those things. It was his right as a Christian, as God's instrument, as God's prophet. At one point, he made his family call him Lord, and to view him as a prophet. He regularly abused them, and he felt that it was his right to do it, and so he purposely wanted to go to a place where he felt that there was as little government intervention as possible, and there was also as little intrusion, like social intrusion. That's one thing about Alaska, that people don't really judge each other. Like, my high school was super, super tolerant, especially with LGBT. Even shows an example of this family. I mean, they met like a gay couple like in the town that they moved to. They didn't care. Like, well, as long as you don't judge me, I won't judge you. And that's typically how it is, at least where I lived in Alaska, like in the rural parts. I mean, if you openly hate a group, it is either a group that the whole community as a unit hates, or it's looked down upon to actively hate a specific group. I mean, people kind of let you live how you want to live. I mean, I've never actually really seen too much like homophobia or anything like that in Alaska. And this family essentially he wanted to go to a place where it would be less likely that a cop is going to drive by and hear him beating his children or his wife, or anyone notice. Like, if they're living way out into the boonies in the bush, it's less likely anyone's going to notice anything wrong is going on for anyone in the family to go ask for help. And also, it would help with the whole image that they're trying to gather. Like, they want to go back to like living off the land and homesteading and just getting away from the modern world and just being a simple folk and just waiting for Jesus' second coming. And there are a lot of people in Alaska who are like that, in the sense that they purposely went up to Alaska to live simpler. They enjoy, they don't mind that they have to, maybe like they live in a place that doesn't have running water, that they have an outhouse, that they have to grow their food, or that they have chickens. Or I worked with people in Alaska that had to truck in water, so they have like watering holes where you fill up the tank and then you fill up your tank, and that's how you get some water that's coming through your sink or coming through your shower. I think like 70% of Alaskans actually don't have running water, and they're fine with that. I mean, people purposely go up there to live that life, and I worked with people who did enjoy Alaska for that reason. They were able to just get away from everything. They didn't get any judgment for what religion they practiced, or they didn't feel like there was much judgment. And there are a lot of people who have the same reasons for moving up to Alaska as this family professed. And so this family didn't necessarily look too suspicious. They just seemed like, yeah, they look kind of like the people that would move up here. And people just said that they were awesome. And they played music. They played like bluegrass, and they kind of toured across the state for a while. For a while, they were just touted as just the epitome of an Alaskan. But then this book covers, behind the scenes, the abuse that was going on, the father did to the rest of the family, and slowly how people start becoming suspicious of this family, and how investigation happened. And yeah, this book really did remind me of home. Not too much, but there was one thing about this book that really kind of irked me. The author of this book, he is a reporter. He's a journalist in Alaska, and he lives in Homer. And I knew that he definitely did not live in Fairbanks or North Pole, because he got the name, the most iconic landmark in North Pole, wrong. He got that name wrong, because he said that, oh yeah, they passed by the Christmas factory. It's not called the Christmas factory. It's called the Santa Claus house. It's that big house that's next to the reindeer, that's next to the giant statue of Santa Claus. He calls it the Christmas factory. It's the fucking Santa Claus house. I pass by it every single day, next to the big statue that reminds you of a totalitarian dictator lording over his people. Yes, I did live in a place called North Pole. Yes, there is actually a Santa Claus house. Yes, your letters actually do go someplace if you actually address them to North Pole, Alaska. In school, I actually answered a few letters. I might have answered your letter, might not, or I don't know. Some of them were really depressing, like really depressing. Like kids asking for food. Can't promise that. It's really sad. That was my only really irk with it. I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars. I felt that it was definitely, it definitely reminded me of Alaska, and it was definitely engaging, especially near the end, where it's kind of gaining momentum of what is pretty much the conclusion of this family, and it's a lot of tension. One thing is, I don't want to call this family crazy. I don't think that it's appropriate to call this family crazy at all. It was a father who is really crazy. And I don't even want to call this family brainwashed, because this family was purposely denied information. These kids were not raised to be able to get the information that would clue them in on this is right, this is wrong, and a lot of times they just had no choice. It does highlight an interesting aspect of Alaskan life, and also it is a powerful story of justice, I would say. That's my review. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Talk to you guys later. Bye!